Hey everyone, it's Ivan with KitBadger.com, out here with my course Loadout from the High Intensity Tactics class down at Thunder Ranch. Thunder Ranch has all kinds of classes, High Intensity Tactics kind of being the top of the progression with respect to their pistol classes. Is it advanced? What it is the prerequisite basically being that you need to have a high level of proficiency with just the basics. The idea of unconscious competence so that it can free you up to do the other things you'll do during that class. But really fun class, and yeah, this is all of the stuff I ended up wearing down there. I will say Thunder Ranch down in Lakeview, Oregon, you never know what you're gonna get weather-wise, even if you check the weather. Ended up actually being pretty nice and warm to hot while I was there, but pretty much the whole time I wore these. Thank you for that. I've reviewed these before. These are the Primal Zen, probably one of my favorites as far as the Lems goes. The only thing that I don't like as much is they actually kind of have a heel cup, so you actually have to tie your shoes rather than just slip your feet into it, but small price to pay. Really nice, comfortable, and basically a mesh top, so they breathe really well, which is nice because again, it was pretty hot down there. Then moving up, I wore these pants right here, which are Prometheus Design Works Raider pants, and I also wore these right here, which are, wait for it, Prometheus Design Works Raider pants. And so, one, I really love the pocket layout, which is why I ended up wearing them. And yeah, they just work really well for me. And with respect to the pocket layout, part of the class, well, it was a pistol class, and so having to do reloads, I didn't really want to run a bunch of things. Honestly, I probably wouldn't otherwise run with respect to concealed carry. And so with that, mag pouches, all of that stuff. So I pretty much was doing pocket reloads the whole time. And something that's nice about their pants is they have basically a pocket inside a pocket. So inside the pocket on both the left and the right, there's this other smaller pocket. And usually on this side, I keep chapstick and a lighter. It stays put right there vertically. When I reach in, it's exactly where I expect it to be. Usually I have a Fisher space pin over on the other side. And so shooting reloads from pocket, I would take my magazine, my reload, and it would go down there, and it would stay one straight up and oriented in the correct direction. So when I reached into my pocket to pull this thing out, it was always right there for me, which was awesome. Yeah, no, I really like these pants. Did a good job for me. Belt. I was wearing this before. I've already reviewed it. It is by Core Essentials, and really awesome adjustment, like incremental adjustments, so you can get it fitting just right to include if you go have a big lunch and then walk back onto the range deck. Very easy to adjust this, do whatever you want. So this actually worked well for me. I will say if you're just running like a pistol, it's arguably overbuilt, but better that than having something weak that's gonna flex and roll on you. For shirts, why not wear fun shirts? So I think the first day I ended up wearing this one right here. This is by Tactical Distributors. It's pretty sweet. It has a hula girl with M16 A2, A1 maybe, as well as some pineapple grenades, says Aloha, and I think those are Apaches, not Super Cobras, but pretty fun shirt. And I will say it's interesting shooting from concealment and just finding out what garments play well. For example, this one actually seemed to get hung up more than kind of some of my other shirts. And then one of the days I just wore a t-shirt, which is how I usually wear my clothes. Well, I usually just wear t-shirts. That for me was definitely easier on the draw from concealment than this, and especially this. Although I will say this was really nice because the last day was the hottest. And I think this is called their Sun Shark, I want to say, also by Tactical Distributors. And yeah, UPF 50 or UPF 50. Basically the stretch material that keeps the sun off you so you don't get burned, which It's pretty handy. I like it. Like, it's nice. And if you want, you can wet the sleeves down. Like, you can do whatever if it gets really hot. There is a hood. There were occasions where I'd actually throw it on, just keep the sun off my back. But yeah, this thing did a good job for me. One thing I will say though, this material we'll want to grab because it is stretchy. So this was probably the hardest garment to actually draw from concealment from. And there were definitely a couple times drew my pistol out and then had to basically get my pistol out of my garment before I continued shooting, which is real. That happens sometimes, especially with drawing from concealment with just one hand. But yeah, all that stuff worked out pretty well. Which brings me to protective equipment. So I ended up actually pretty much always wear these. There were definitely times where I was like, man, it would have been nice if I had my prescription ballistic sunglasses, just because it was really hot and bright. But then there were also times where we ended up going indoors to do runs in the shoot house where you definitely needed clear lenses. So I was wearing these. These are the Smith Director Elite with ballistic prescription lenses from Zeiss. And for Ear Pro, I was wearing these right here. Really like these. These are my OpsCore amps. I still don't think I've reviewed them. It's nice also, you can basically detach the boom mic if you don't need it. Sometimes I just leave it. For that, decided to go ahead and just take it off. And yeah, being able to hear commands, really, really nice. And yeah, gel cups, really comfortable. So these did a good job for me. Other gear. So there was actually a short block where we did a little bit of stuff with blue guns, as well as like training blades if you had them. So I, of course, have all my training blades for my EMTAC blades, Northman X, stuff like that. And then for a blue gun, I had this guy right here, which is actually a SIRT gun, shoots a laser. And because this obviously wasn't going to fit the same holster for the pistol I was shooting, because I was not shooting a Glock 17, threw a Surefire X300 on there and then this little holster so that I could actually go ahead and holster it for when we were working on that stuff, which was not a bunch, but kind of a little primer on some stuff. I think that's it for that, which brings me to the pistol I was shooting. For the class, I ended up shooting this right here, which is the Echelon Compact by Springfield Armory. On here is the Vortex Defender-ST. It's a red dot. It is an open and closed emitter, not my favorite. It has some kind of cool things going on. I do like, it is not one of those that basically says, hey, we'll go ahead and just meter the light and put the dot at whatever we think it should be. So you can actually manually adjust it, which is nice because going into the shoot house and then come back out into a really bright day, really good being able to go ahead and adjust that down to include adjust it for inside the shoot house in conjunction with white light, which I guess I should mention real quick. So in those runs, one in part was using this right here, which is my Surefire Stiletto 2 Pro, I guess, or Stiletto Pro 2, and thing's awesome. Super tight beam, which is great for pushing back and checking essentially deep rooms, hallways, things like that in the shoot house. Worked out well. And then also on here, I have this right here, which is the Surefire XC3, is that right? Yeah, which is actually a great light. It's kind of on par with a Surefire X300, not the turbo, but the X300, except definitely a much smaller form factor. And of course, shooting this pistol with this holster right here. This is the FO3 by Blackpoint Tactical. So how'd this stuff do? Well, it did well. I will say I did not shoot it very well, which is really me as a shooter. And I do need to play with kind of some of the different back straps. For me, this gun points I'm down. This gun points high to me. And the grip angle, if you're used to a Glock, it's honestly probably pretty close to that. I'm not used to a Glock anymore. Usually shoot, kind of most recently, Walther PDP. And so I definitely fought with that grip angle, again, coming down, and it is what it is. Was it the pistol's fault? No, like, it's me, the shooter, and yeah, I didn't do as good as I probably could have. One thing that I will say with this pistol is I had 2 magazines. It comes with a 15 rounder and then an extended, I think it's maybe 18 rounds. I'm like, man, I need more than 2 magazines. So I actually borrowed, yeah, this is one of them. I borrowed 3 magazines from a buddy, carry concealment, local guy to me. And that was awesome because then I actually had 5 magazines. But yeah, ended up shooting this pistol. Coming away from it, is there anything I would have changed about this setup here? Honestly, no. I probably would have brought the other back straps, which I did not bring, and see if that really made a difference for me with the pistol. That's probably the only thing I would have changed. This thing absolutely worked in that we ended up doing we ended up walking back to, I think, like over 50 yards on kind of like a BC basically. And as long as I did my part, like, this absolutely worked. The lights I brought, they worked well in the shoot house environment. And yeah, we actually ended up shooting our pistols out to 100 yards. Again, it worked as long as I did a good trigger press. It was good. I'm glad I actually wore these different layers. And that, how often do you, now granted, I'm not really a collared shirt guy, but occasionally I do. And I do wear sun shirts, and honestly, usually it's in the backcountry or like at the river or something like that, where I may or may not be carrying like concealed from the waist. I might be carrying a different way, and like chest rig or whatever. And so it was actually good for me to go ahead and get reps with these different things, and just different garments, they draw differently. And having this hang up occasionally, and this definitely, like, you had to be really high and deliberate to get this out of the way. Definitely some good learning points, but largely everything did a good job for me. And yeah, great time at that class. But if you're interested, there'll be links down below. You can check out all this stuff. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Kick, drop.